As we speak, someone, somewhere in Cambodia has stepped on a landmine. And in the northwest of the country, someone, somewhere has just laid a fresh one, as fighting intensifies in the area. Debate is expected this week in the National Assembly over legislation to ban landmines in Cambodia. But as Susan Yu reports, the demining community isn't breathing a sigh of relief. Deminers must continue with their unenviable job of detecting and destroying the devices. And it's on the Minefields where she catches up with former British Army Gurkhas who are providing their expertise on the ground.
It happens twice a year. The Mekong River overspills, the Tonle Sap changes direction, and Cambodians celebrate. And it's King Norodom Sihanouk who pays tribute to the event and the country's farmers, saying agriculture is the pillar of happiness. But there's an invisible part of the landscape that keeps those who work the fields hostage to uncertainty.
These are societies that need the land. And if you contaminate the land so that people can't use it for agricultural purposes, if you can't move the refugee populations back into the villages because of landmines, you've got a problem that goes even beyond the tens of thousands of very dramatic and compelling casualties each year.
2,600 mined areas have been confirmed in Cambodia. That covers 3,600 square kilometers of mostly agricultural land. So far, less than 50 kilometers have been cleared. And consider this, when you take the average global rate of clearance, it would take 1,000 deminers at least a generation to clear the minefields in Cambodia alone.
Thousands of miles away, dignitaries will be putting pen to paper, making the treaty official. No doubt for landmine victims, the event is long overdue. But for those who are on the ground and who have the continuous and unenviable task of trying to rid Cambodia of the problem, the job is never ending.
Since the July coup, heavy fighting in the northwest of the country has led to fresh and even homemade mines being laid. And just one day after the news that the Nobel Peace Prize would be awarded to the International Committee to Ban Landmines, the Khmer Rouge's clandestine radio announced they had set off more of the deadly devices.
We obviously don't condone this activity at all. On these battlefields where they're fighting, you know, there's thousands and thousands of landmines there already.
So you can't make a situation any worse than it is.
Yeah, it can't get any worse.
Dave McCracken is an expert on mines with 20 years of experience under his belt. But an hour's drive from Phnom Penh is Kampong Cham. That's where he shows us how delicate the hamburger-sized explosives are.
This here is not designed to kill you, it's just designed to blow a portion of your foot off. It only takes about 3 to 5 kilograms pressure. You hear that snap?
Yeah.
All that did was, this is just a diaphragm.
Yeah.
And just popped it the other direction.
And that sets it off.
That's right. So I'll let you press that. That way you'll know how much pressure it takes to set off a mine. It's not very much, so a child or anybody can set that on. That's it?
That's it.
That's it. So a child, you know, can step on that, animals, and anything can set it off quite easily.
And these are quite cheap to produce as well,
This is the most dangerous mine we consider in Cambodia. It's the T-72 Alpha Chinese.
So far, Handicap International and the government-run Cambodian Mine Action Center, or CMAC, have been working together to clear minefields. This year, they've finished combing through 8. They still have 7 fields to go.
This is from M79 grenade launcher. This is the cartridge. This is what we find in the minefield from the mine. So we're trying, when we're detecting mines, we're differentiating between this metal contamination that's there, trying to find this.
And when they do detect a landmine, this is what they do to it.
This is the normal size of a crater that a PMN mine would make.
There.
If it was buried in the ground, say up to 5 centimeters deep, it would make a hole about this size in normal loose ground. One of the things you have to understand about a landmine, when it explodes, not only does it tear someone's leg off, but it drives sticks, dirt, grass, anything, debris that's on the ground, drives it into the wounds of the victim.
And what type of mine was this?
This was a PMN mine.
PMN mine?
PMN, it's a Soviet mine, has 200 grams of explosives in it.
Uh-huh.
That's the type of hole it leaves after it detonates. So you can imagine when a person steps on that, it's a very dramatic event, very large explosion.
How often do you come across something like that, a PMN mine?
Thousands.
Thousands.
Yes.
The 41-year-old Canadian takes us to Nam Cheng Priya Temple. In 1991, the Khmer Rouge occupied this mountain.
The Cambodian countryside is fairly flat all the way around, and then we have these hills interspaced all over. So during the war, these hills became commanding positions to dominate all the terrain in the area. And what the soldiers would do is they would put their artillery on these hilltops and observation posts so they can control all the movement in this area with bombardment by artillery. And to protect the military position here, they would mine all the way around it. Okay, so this is what the cause of the problem is. As we look out there, we can see the rice paddies where people are farming the land quite well. And then we come into this area close to this hill, and it's not being farmed at all.
We asked CMAC Site Commander Brumpek Day about the risks.
There are two minefields here, one minefield here and another minefield over there. And there were 6 people killed and 4 injured. And both of the minefield, 15 cattle. The Cambodian people, especially in rural areas, they are poor people. So if they lost their cattle, 1 or 2 their cattle, it's very affect to the standard of their living. An average cost of one cow, 500,000 here, is around $200 to $300.
CMAC says since it was established in 1992, more than 60,000 various mines have been found. At these 2 minefields, nearly 100 deminers are working. Never mind the danger, for most, it's badly needed employment.
Most of the miners, they are ex-demobilized soldiers, so they have no job, so this is a better job for them.
It's mostly ammunition that was in a storehouse, which exploded. So
McCracken takes us to another site in Kampong Thom, where unconventional ex-soldiers are helping out.
60mm mortar. Fuse 105.
4 ex-British Army Gurkhas from Hong Kong are on the ground, supervising the painstaking and dangerous work of demining. They're clearing this site for the construction of a hospital. Dil Kumar Limbu left Hong Kong in 1993 and has been in Cambodia for the past 2 years. For the 49-year-old, the beleaguered country was the last place he expected to be in.
What kind of plans did you have initially?
Well, initially enjoy my life, have a good time.
Going back to Nepal?
Yes, going back to Nepal. I spent about 2 years after I retired at home, enjoying myself. Then my colleague, one of my friends here, introduced me into this. Said mainly because it was humanitarian sort of thing. Said, okay, I will take it on.
What did your family think? Do you think you were crazy?
They still think I'm crazy. Because they do keep hearing on the news, I suppose. Even in Nepal now, the news system is very good. And when I phone home, they're always worried. But I say, hey, that is way in the north, not where I am. Don't worry.
Tell the section commander, yeah? Before they assemble their detector, check all the cables, batteries, their control box, everything. If any defect, just inform to section commander. And apart from that,
I hope they are all fit, nobody sick, fit for work.
Kilbalder Gurung conducts the morning briefings, making sure everything is in order before Deminers step foot into the field. While interpreters are on hand to translate instructions, the Gurkhas try to bridge any cultural gaps on their own.
In the field, no, we have been lucky. We have had very, very good interpreters with us. We're also now trying to learn Khmer, the language itself, and try to communicate. I see no difference between Cambodian and Nepalese people. We look the same. We have the same jokes. They look at us as one of them, and we look at them as just one of us. We have had no problem. I mean, just like being in your own country.
Jamin Singh Rai is the most senior of the 4 Gurkhas here. In fact, the 52-year-old had to lie about his age just to get into the British Army. Officially, on paper, he's 56.
I joined the army in Malaya. The Malaysia was not existed then. It's just Malaya at 1957. Just after 3 months, the Malayan independent, and then I stayed in Malaya for until end of 1969. Then in March 1970, moved to Hong Kong. At that time, I went there with my wife.
After Hong Kong and leaving the British Army, Jamin Singh had hoped to work in the Middle East.
I was at home, and after I started working in this organization since 1993. Before that, I was just home, just wandering around, and I desired to. Before that, the Kuwait was the Demining in Kuwait was on. I wanted to go there, but somehow I didn't get a chance to go there because I had no valid passport. Later on, I had registered with my company, and they called me, and there was a job here, and asked me if I wanted to come here.
So initially, you wanted to go to Kuwait?
I wanted to go Kuwait.
Jamin Singh and his colleagues have no regrets about being part of the demining efforts in Cambodia. And for Handicap International, the aid agency that employs them, getting Gurkhas on board only makes sense.
They're skilled in landmine warfare and demolitions. They're skilled in expedient engineering, building bridges, fixing roads, and all these type of activities. So when you think of a place like Cambodia, that the infrastructure has been destroyed in war, the bridges have been blown up, the roads are run down and broken up, the place is mined and there's bombs laying around everywhere. These are the ideal people to come here to fix this problem.
It hasn't been easy for the Gurkhas to leave behind family in Nepal and Hong Kong. If you ask them whether that's hard to do, they'll tell you it's all part of the job. A job in Cambodia they know may never end.
That report by Susan Yu. That wraps up the program. We hope you enjoyed it. From all of us here, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Every time that they come, they start to consider the fact that in fact they do have a voice, and that it's just their bodies that are disabled, but their spirits and their ambitions and their dreams are not.
It is these $3 weapons that are principally responsible for keeping the Cambodia's basket cases that the rest of the world community has got to continue to support.
They've been fighting over this area for 20 years. It's one of the most heaviest mined places on Earth.
Rather by political strife.
Why is polio such a problem in Cambodia?
I think that because in Cambodia we have a war for a long time. I mean, about 20 years already. So I think everything is not as well as like the other country.
Cambodia's political, economic, and social structure have experienced a total breakdown, and it's been recognized only recently how that breakdown has affected the welfare of the people, in particularly the young.
Nobody will ever know the true extent of the problem in Cambodia. since most live in poverty here and access to information and treatment is limited. A short drive from the capital takes you to one of a handful of centers in the country that hopes to change that. Funded by the Vietnam Veterans of America Foundation, this rehab center deals with hundreds of polio victims.